Hey freaks, it's been a while. But anyways, while I was gone, finished reading the book. First off, the book in general, I'm gonna give a rating from 1 to 5 based on what I kind of think about the book, the writing quality, how I felt about it, the characterization, other details or aspects of the stories. So I'm going to be splitting it into 4 different groups. My personal rating, which is 2 stars because this is my personal rating. Second one, writing quality. Third one is going to be the characterization. Fourth, and probably the one I like the most in this story at least, is the actual like setting, description of the setting, and overall vibe of the place. So, first of all, let me get like a piece of paper or something. So, we're gonna have five different things. Just 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you can't tell, you probably can't see it here, so I'm gonna like put a thing here on this half of the screen so that you know what I'm writing. But I'm gonna basically describe it to you so I can do this in editing without having to remember anything. So first off, right here, we have my personal rating, which is out of 2 stars. So my personal rating for this book, since it's the first in its series and I don't really know where it's going, overall, I would say 1.8. Good quality, like the characters, like the story. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Now, for the setting of the place, I personally really like the setting, so I'm gonna give it full marks for the setting. It takes place in this like kind of rural, off the path town, in the middle of like a giant valley, and it's surrounded by mountains, and basically the gimmick is that there's fog that comes in every few days to a week, right? So now the fog is like really cool and stuff because it has basically forest demons that come out and steal your body parts. Now, that's not something that I'm putting as a pro in this category, the category I'm doing right now, because that's technically not part of the setting. So basically, good setting, it's really well done, and it kind of captures, like when you're reading the story, it captures like the small town vibes of the area and stuff. Plus, when they go out of it, it feels just like a desolate wasteland, which I think is pretty cool. Now, characterization of the people. There are 2 to 3 main characters, I guess you could say, based on the way you want to see it. One of them is really important now. One of them is called Evelyn McKinnon. That is going to be our main character for this thing, which, one second. This is our main character for this one, right? So I'm gonna put this up on the board right there. That is our main guy. That's the person we're following. I'll even underline it here. This is the person we're following, right? So, as I told you, not one, there's 3. So there are 2 others. I'll get to them after describing Evelyn, but Evelyn, basically, main character of the story, is going away from her hometown for a bit, which is called Pine Haven. I need to get a different color. Now, she's going away from her place called Pine Haven. Now, see, Pine Haven is where the creepy shit goes on. That's where the, like, demons and monsters that steal your body parts goes on. She has a connection back to Pine Haven. So they're connected, right? And then the reason why she was in why she left Pine Haven for a bit was because her dad, who was a sheriff at the time, Now, Sheriff, I'm gonna just call him Sheriff Mick, because Evelyn McKinnon. Sheriff Mick, right? Now, he is connected to this because of his connection with Evelyn and with the town. Now, Sheriff McKinnon is like how every internet horror starting out creepypasta has to go, which is the divorced father figure. Now, they're all connected like a triangle. And then, now, Evelyn, Sheriff McKinnon, there's another main character who is called, I think it's Finnegan. And then I don't know his last name because I keep messing him up with a person on the Ultimate Frisbee team called Finn and LeBlanc. And I know this guy's last name is not LeBlanc. So, now, this guy, Finnegan, he is right there. He's part of an organization called the Sheriff's Department. Now, see, the Sheriff's Department is the Pine Haven Sheriff's Department. So, it's where, again, if you can tell by the name, Sheriff McKinnon, which is the main character's dad, worked, right? And then, sorry, I can't find the name of this thing. And then that's also Finnegan here works as, and then they are connected to Pine Haven Sheriff's Department, right? Which is like very small town, again, so they don't have a lot going on, you would think, except for the body stealing demons. Now, I have another character before I go too far into the story of this thing, which is called Daniel. Daniel's not from Pine Haven, you see. Daniel's an outsider who basically did performance arts in college and then moved to Pine Haven because of the radio station there, which is 106.4 FM, I think, which is strange because FM stations do not have numbers. Now, he is connected to Evelyn because they are co-workers at the radio station. Now see, the radio station, it works to ward away the demons. Now, the radio station is, I might have to reorganize some stuff to put it on here, but the radio station, you learn this out later in the book, but it is directly tied to the Sheriff's Department because it's directly tied to the Sheriff's Department, Daniel, Evelyn, and a new location that we're gonna have to do. I'm doing this one with green so that, because this is kind of a big category, called the Wood. Now, the Woods kind of works as its own entity in the town, which is where all the demons and stuff go in their off time when the fog is not currently going around. So, the radio station is basically what helps ward off the woods, which is like the creatures in the woods, which, when I'm saying the woods is a living entity, you'll find out later. Now, if we go into this, now, the woods, right? That's important because that's where all the creatures come out, and that's also what leads to the radio station, which also helps deal with this thing called the fog. The fog, it's part of the woods, right? The woods, the radio station, the Sheriff's Department, Pine Haven, the fog. That is basically all the locations and stuff that you need to know for this. Now, you may be wondering, the fog, what is it? Why am I talking about it in such a frantic and overpaced thing? Well, the fog is basically an extension of the woods. Now, the fog is described as moving snake-like through the forest, right? It's described as a living entity. It's described as something more of like living than otherwise doing anything else. Now, the woods and the fog are connected by some really simple logic of the creatures come from the woods, and then whenever the fog comes around, that basically expands their territory, right? And now, see, the fog, the reason why the fog is so like heebie-jeebie inducing is because it's basically what lets the, soul-sucking, eyeball-stealing demons into town. Now, the radio station was made to go against the fog, right? Now, the radio station, see, it has this thing called the bell. Now, the bell, which I am going to have to get another, which is just going to be symbolized by this quick little drawing of a bell. The bell, that is what makes the radio station such a threat to the woods and the fog. It basically works, let me say it for a second. Now, it basically, the bell, this thing, it works with the radio station to ward off the fog. Now, it basically releases a very high-pitched sound, which makes the creatures just start getting like major headaches and stuff if they start to go near the tower or the town, which used to be a literal bell back in like the days before the radio, which someone would have to be constantly ringing, which I don't know why they just didn't abandon the place immediately, but I guess plot logic and stuff. But see, that's what the bell does, right? The bell has to be going by the radio station just to keep out the woods from the town. Now, I will explain why I'm constantly talking about the woods as a living entity right after I need to explain how we know that the bell, the radio, and Evelyn are connected. Because Evelyn currently is the number 28. Evelyn is currently number 28 on the amount of broadcasters that have been at the radio station that's employed by the sheriff's department secretly, so that everyone doesn't lose their mind. But Evelyn fails to use the bell one time, and the first time he's there, he fails to sound the bell early enough and give a proper warning for the fog, and it's an entire bloodbath in town. People are found missing that appear later in the story as just demons. Literally, they stole vocal cords out of one of the people, and it ended up with another person getting lured into the woods later in the story, which all I'm saying is maybe if Evelyn would have just rang the bell, then this wouldn't have happened. And also, another thing that the bell is good at defending against, called the amalgamate. It's basically this giant deer thing that lives in the woods and is the biggest one of the amalgamates, right? So it has the head of a deer, right? It has 6 human eyes, a giant body, and just basically random body parts springing out of its central mass. And that is kind of the main big bad of the series so far, which leads to another character that was pretty central to this story, but I don't think we'll be going past this story because they essentially killed it off. The amalgamate, which believe it or not, is this thing called the Woodman. The Woodman's really important because eyes. The Woodman stole Evelyn's eyes, and so basically what happened is that Evelyn got attacked because there was this thing called the Woodman that was going into town next to playgrounds and stuff and stealing the kids, and with luring them off and then basically killing them and taking their parts for the woods, right? So then Evelyn goes up against the Woodman, loses horribly, literally gets an eye plugged out before Finnegan shows up, blasts the thing in the head, and then it backs off for a bit, which gives them enough time to go to the hospital, right? So then the Woodman, right? The Woodman and Evelyn, that is a big part of the story because the Woodman gets snapped in half like a twig by the amalgamate, which then steals Evelyn's eyes, which then leads to a final confrontation in this volume, at least, between Evelyn and the amalgamate, which makes them go into the another part of the town that I forgot to mention previously, called the mines. Now, this is basically the origin point of everything. The woods, Pine Haven, and everything started from the mines, because Pine Haven originally was like an old mining town, but then I don't know why it was an old mining town, because the demons in the woods have been there forever, literally since it's been a mining town, so it makes no sense why it would be a mining town, why anyone would actually live there, but it just did. They just do, okay? You don't have to think about it too much. But basically, Evelyn and Daniel go out trying to hunt for they go on a hunt for Evelyn's lost eye, because the eye is making her see what these two, the amalgamate and the Woodman, are doing when she's asleep, which basically means that she sees some kid get murdered, she sees it looking at her through the woods in the forest, which not good for your mental health. But the mines, basically David and Evelyn go to the mines, and there's basically a bunch of dead miners and stuff. That's where all their body parts went, was basically this giant flesh sarcophagus, and that's the mines, because the walls basically are made of human flesh, arms sticking out and stuff, like that one scene from Little Nightmares. And That's cool. They get chased through that for like 13 hours, and then head back to the town, and they stay at the radio station for some reason. Some godforsaken reason they won't let the radio station go. And in the story they're like, oh well, we can't just leave it because then it'll be some other poor schmuck's job. But like, literally just leave. You just like tell the United States government or something, because they will deal with it. Now, it's time to stop recapping the story. And finally get back to what this segment was supposed to be, which was rating it. Yeah. So I entirely forgot what I was talking about. I think it was characterization. So, that's pretty good. I'll give it like a 0.8. It was good. Not perfect, but it was really good. I'll keep my thing separate from this. So now the kind of setting stuff. Okay, so for the setting, I'm gonna need to avert your attention to the board for a minute now. Something that I really like about the setting is the underlying tones of conspiracy. Now, this may sound like a shocker to you guys, but the sheriff's department is basically keeping everyone under wraps from the woods. Now, a few people in the town are like accepting of the woods. They're like, okay, that's just how things go. Most of them move out, but the sheriff's department keeps the woods hidden from people by doing stuff like faking autopsies and other stuff so that people don't get too freaked out. Because, I don't know, maybe you'll move away if you know that there's like arm-grabbing demons in your area. But basically, sheriff's department keeping this under wraps, right? The entire reason in the first place that Evelyn goes there is because Sheriff McKinnon was actually in the radio station for some time. Now, the reason why this is important is because he apparently doesn't tell his daughter about like the demons in the woods, and instead when they get a divorce, because that's why they move away, because he got a divorce and she went with her mother, but when they get a divorce, he doesn't tell her either. This guy's an idiot, right? Also, he voluntarily signed up for it. It's not like they were just, ooh, whoopsie daisy. Also, Finnegan makes a remark in it, like, yeah, most people don't even ask us about what happened to the radio people after about a month. They really don't care, which I find kind of funny. But, yeah, basically, underlying tone of conspiracy in this entire thing, where this is only volume 1, so I'm gonna save that for later. But yeah, overall setting. I mean, it has a lot of different settings, but I mean, I kind of like the characteristics they put on there. Could have been better, so I'm gonna give it like a 0.8 again. It's not perfect, but it's really good. The last part about this is the writing, which sadly I can't use the conspiracy board for because it's about the writing of the story. Now, the thing about writing is it's subjective, and basically the only thing that you can grade on is like grammar, error, like different errors, stuff like that. So overall, pretty good writing. I personally really like the writing style that they went for, and I just think it's done well, so I'm gonna give that a 1. If you disagree, you make this. You do this. Like, actually, I want to see you try and do this. Overall, I'm gonna have to do some quick math real quick. Let's point out. Okay, so 1 plus 0.8 is 1.8. 1.8 plus 0.8 is 2.6, 3.6, 4.6. Wait, this goes to over 5. Wait. It's out of 6 stars now. This would eventually add up to a 5 point. Wait, what's 6 plus 8? 14. 5.4. So 5.4 out of 6. So really good, yeah. So that's my overall rating of it. Now, since this is a volume 1 in the series, I get the rare experience of being able to use this board for good and trying to predict where the series will go. Now, so I'm gonna just explain where we ended off. So after we ended off, we basically learned that Evelyn actually had an experience with the woods beforehand that she kind of like forgot forcefully. I'm not sure what that's called. I'm sure I'll put a thing on the screen here, but forgot forcefully what happened, which is basically seeing a lion with the face of a man. I think I'd try and forget that too, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, that basically led her to kind of dissociate and stuff more often. And overall, bad for mental health, right? These two are getting into an argument with her friend. Wait, I forgot. I forgot to mention this. There was a friend called Jenny who is kind of a pivotal plot point, but isn't really used in the scene. It's just another one of the monsters of the woods. So Jenny, and they were dating for a bit. So basically, Jenny and Evelyn, they were dating for a bit, kind of got into an argument, so that's not very good. So yeah, that was a pretty pivotal plot point, but it's basically in the end, they don't, if I remember correctly, they don't resolve the Jenny thing, or Jenny gets put into the amalgamate, which then also expands the forest because, as I was talking about earlier, the woods are technically an entity because they basically kill the people, take their body parts, and whatever they can't use, they basically send to making another tree, which is then placed on the furthest outskirts of the woods. So it's basically an ever-growing mass. And why they don't cut the trees down, I'm not sure. Maybe something bad will happen or something. It'll bleed human blood or whatever. But that's basically why the sheriff's department is behind the conspiracy to keep the woods in check. But yeah, that's basically where we end off. Now, my prediction for the series is that eventually it'll either get to a point where the woods is expanding so much that like other action has to be taken, or two, second option is that Evelyn and Daniel, right, they're gonna go venture further into the woods trying to find like basically the central mass for what it is. They're gonna try and kill it with Finnegan, which I predict is gonna die. If this is 3 volumes, then I predict Finnegan's gonna die in either the second or third one. No. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. I predict Finnegan's gonna die in the third one, because, like, noble sacrifice or whatever, because he is part of the conspiracy with the sheriff's department and stuff. So that's probably going to happen. If I don't think, now for that theory, I don't think the amalgamate is kind of the central mass, because that would be stupid and lazy writing if they were like, oh yeah, this big one is just the big one and stuff. Wait, spider. Yeah, this big one's the central mass. That's lazy writing. That's stupid. I hate it. I'm guessing it's either something deeper into the minds, or it's something that we haven't found yet, which would make sense with all this stuff. And I'm guessing as the series goes on, as stories tend to do, they're going to ramp up and up and up. So I don't think the amalgamate's going to be the biggest thing we see. And overall, that's my predictions. So just cut to whatever else I need to be doing for this video and leave the board up here.